Well, all right, let's talk about America's Nightmare coming through again with a victory as the Kansas City Chiefs. Ultimately, this was not a perfectly clean day. In fact, we will talk a lot about the issues that happened in this game, why things were sputtering, why they entered the fourth quarter only with 9 points on the scoreboard. But also, we'll talk about the things that changed later on and how they were ultimately able to get the victory. So yeah, start off with the negatives and then we'll get into the positives, kind of just working chronologically through this game. Let's just get into it. Let's start off with this play, because this was a very early play in the game, a very important play early on in the game. So you see, first, you have a couple one-on-one matchups to the offense's left, right? The Chiefs are going to run a play action, and what's the point of a play action in this scenario when you have one-on-one matchups that you're trying to look towards? Well, usually what you want here is draw everybody towards the offense is right. You know, again, you're backed up kind of close to your own end zone, so you don't really want to do a full just drop back pass. You want to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands quickly. You get everyone out of position to the offense's right. Rashee Rice can run a quick slant route more over the middle. You know, simple enough, right? Totally, you can understand the logic behind wanting to do something like this and how it can work. Well, Mahomes takes a snap, he looks over, and you just see that there is a Colts defender who is reading this play really well. I mean, give him credit. He's paying attention. Now, he is not solely just looking to get in the way of a passing play on this one. It's two things. Usually your main goal if you're doing this as an edge rusher is make sure Mahomes doesn't keep it himself and start running, but he just reads the play, and I would imagine they've seen the Chiefs do this on tape and knew it was potentially coming. And as you see, it's Leulatu actually is the player who bats it up, and he gets the interception, nearly has a pick six, not quite, but close to it, and they converted and got the touchdown. Anyway, again, is that on Mahomes? I mean, it's really hard for Mahomes to read that. It is kind of your job as a quarterback to see if the play has been executed properly, and if, it's one of those just plays where on paper this is supposed to work, but the defense doesn't do what you want the defense to do, and ultimately it results in worst possible outcome. Definitely some luck involved, but also some skill by the defense, and maybe the offense needs to, work on being a little less predictable. Let's go over here. So how is the Chiefs offense working? Especially, early on in the game, it was a lot of this stuff, which was just kind of what we saw last year's Chiefs offense do, which I wonder if they kind of decided to try that a little bit more this year. You see how it's zone coverage, and you have Xavier Worthy is running the curl route closest towards the sideline, just trying to get into a gap in coverage. You also have a receiver run a route further past him, and essentially there should only be one Colts player in the area. They can only cover one of the guys. You throw it to somebody else, right? Whoever is not being covered. Watch, Mahomes takes a snap. Corner is covering further deep, meaning that Worthy is open. There is a Colts player who kind of can try and step in and close this window, but for now, there's a bit of a window. Again, though, it's not a huge window. Mahomes has to throw off balance. It's a tough play, but Mahomes able to hit this, really nice throw, nice catch from Worthy. They pick up the 8-yard gain. That's kind of what they were doing, is let's methodically move down the field, get these long drives that can hopefully result in scores. And also, let's talk about a Kareem Hunt play. Now, we will talk about another Kareem Hunt play before too long, but first, this one. It's going to be a rushing play, actually, but it wasn't just in the rushing game. I thought he made some plays here in this game. I really did. Mahomes is going to hand the ball off to Kareem Hunt. You see that he's, at this point, seems to be bottled up, and only a minute 40 in the half. You kind of want to get more than just 7 yards if you're going to keep the clock running. But as you see, really nice run by Kareem Hunt. He made a few moves in this game. And again, is Kareem Hunt someone you want to be your star offensive player? Probably not, but it's nice to see him show up, and he was able to show up on this play. You get a couple of those types of moves. And also, some chunk plays as well. This one was later on in the game. So you start trying to get this comeback happening with 20 seconds left in the third. You have Rashee Rice. Really, this is just going to be a blown coverage. He starts on the offense's left, goes to the offense's right. And essentially, the idea is, when you're playing zone defense, a lot of times you focus on who is on your side of the field pre-snap, and so then post-snap, when you change it, it can be sometimes tough for the defense to pick it up. Here, you just have a lot of guys moving. Defense is on the offense's right is focused on who was lined up there to start, so when someone on the offense's left gets over to the offense's right, this can happen. No one picks up Rice. Mahomes, again, extended the play long enough to spot this, gets the ball over to Rice. They pick up a huge gain, so they did have some splash plays. That wasn't their entire offense, but they did have some. But that's kind of a good transition to what a big part of the issue was offensively for the Chiefs at time is just this. I talked about this in my video I made about them last week. It's still an issue with this Chiefs offense is the deep ball, which is again so weird because that was the strength of the Chiefs. Even the year after they traded Tyreek Hill, the deep ball was such a strength of this team. You see this play, it's Hollywood Brown one-on-one against Sauce Gardner on a 3rd down and 3. So you can kind of see why Mahomes isn't like immediately looking over in that direction, right? But still, I mean, he's the guy you're having go one-on-one on the outside, and you see the concept. It's a cover one man play. So ultimately, like, as an offense, it's hard to do a lot against this coverage. One of the things that it is pretty easy to do is throw down the field. So that's kind of what you usually want to do in this situation. You don't have to do it every time, but you at least want to be able to hit on it sometimes. Mahomes on this play, you're going to see that he takes a snap, looks there, but then looks elsewhere. And again, he started off looking in that direction. I don't know why he did not throw it here. It's open. It's not wide open. Would have taken a really tough throw and catch. That's what you needed on that play. But you know what? Sometimes you need a tough throw and tough catch to win a football game. And, for Mahomes, if they're not even going to try it, well, then you might as well just keep playing that defense, right? Because you had some, like, this one, which was more of an over-the-middle type play, but, like, there's an opening there. Mahomes isn't hitting it. There was also this one, which was, Noah Gray has the ball in his hands, just can't grab it. Couldn't tell if that was, like, slightly tipped. It doesn't look like it. It looks like he just wasn't able to make the grab. So again, not being able to hit on these plays makes things so much more difficult. There were also just some good old-fashioned mistakes, like this one. It's like just not quite being able to convert on that touchdown, and then Kareem Hunt fumbles right after. This is early on in the 4th quarter. I thought that was going to be the game. I really did. I thought this was going to be it. Colts up 11 with the ball in the 4th quarter. Hey, we remember the Chiefs being down 10, after Mahomes threw an interception in the Super Bowl against San Francisco and finding a way to win. Still, though, you don't expect this to happen. What changed? Well, honestly, heading over to a play like this, I think it's a pretty simple answer, but it's what really happened, I think, is, so you see, this is earlier on in the game. It's, to be honest, I didn't love how the Chiefs ran this sequence where they had a 1st and goal, inside the 10-yard line. They elected to run the football, only gained like a yard or two, and had to burn their last time out. So now at 2nd and goal, you get 2 shots, but basically you have to throw into the end zone on both of these. So they need someone to win a one-on-one matchup. It's Rashee Rice against Sauce Gardner. Worth noting, the play you see on the screen is actually not the exact concept. It's a zone coverage play. I accidentally put a man coverage concept on the screen. Also worth noting, Kareem Hunt is the player who is out wide on offense's right. That's to see if it's going to be man or zone. You put the halfback out. But because of that situation, now you essentially, you don't want to, you can't run it here. You're not going to throw it to Kareem Hunt. You've essentially just fully said, we need Kareem Hunt to, we need Rashee Rice to win this matchup. As you see here, if they're perfect on this play, it works. They're just, Mahomes and Rice not quite perfect there. Good coverage by Sauce Gardner, not, complete shutdown coverage, but good coverage by him. But ultimately, they're not able to, the Chiefs are not able to convert there. I feel like towards the end of the game, that's the biggest shift. Because, let's go over here. 2nd down and 13 here, back at their own 2.5-yard line. This is just a tough situation for Kansas City. They need 3 points. They need to get something here. And, for the Colts, they know a pass play is coming. So they're going with like a cover 2 man right here. And it's ultimately just the Chiefs need a guy to win. And this is going to be Rashee Rice time. Watch how when this play begins. It's Kenny Moore who Rice is going up against, who is not a bad corner, a good slot corner for the Indianapolis Colts. You see, this isn't wide open or anything, but it's an opportunity. Mahomes is going to trust his guy, make a throw here, and watch as when he does, Rashee Rice makes the catch, actually does a good job after the catch, gets all the way to midfield before finally getting knocked out of bounds. So great job by Rashee Rice to make that play work. And again, that's what they needed. And they weren't getting that for most of the game, but down the stretch, they started getting this. And I don't know if it's just simply they ran so many plays and exhausted the defense or what, but it might have just been as simple as they started executing their offense better. Like this play, it's a 4th down and 3. It's again going to be man coverage. And, again, the game's not over if the Chiefs don't convert, but you're giving the Colts the ball, only really needing probably 1 first down to ice the game, like a little bit more than 1 first down to ice the game. That's not a great situation. Mahomes takes a snap, and it's these rub routes that the Chiefs are so good at. And here, it's not even with a Chiefs receiver, but you see number 20 for the Colts, he's trying to cover Kareem Hunt, who's in the flat. But given the situation, Rashee Rice sees that there was a Colts player there and kind of uses that Colts player as a pick. Watch Ward, who's covering Rice, stumbles. Rice gets open, makes the grab, picks up the first down, gets them well within field goal range. They ultimately, again, it still wasn't perfect in this game. They weren't able to punch it into the end zone in that situation, but they do get the game time field goal, which is what they needed. And then over here in overtime, it's a man coverage concept on a 3rd down and 7. And again, you're like, you need a receiver to win. If you do not convert right here, you have to punt the ball back to the Colts with 5 minutes left. All the Colts would need is a field goal. Yes, your defense has played great, but you don't want to rely on that. Well, watch how when Mahomes takes the snap, the Colts decide to blitz. Mahomes steps up. I mean, that's the first part of the play, just how good of a job he did navigating it, getting the ball down there, but also Worthy's open. This again, Tre'Davious Ward, who's coming back from injury, trying to cover him. It's a tough situation, but Worthy makes the grab. They get the big completion and able to get on the outside of field goal range. They worked it in closer before kicking a chip shot field goal, but that was how they won. I mean, it was receivers down the field making the plays. And to some degree, I think perhaps they maybe were just trying to be too cautious early on. You try to methodically move down the field. More bad things can happen. You can fumble. You can have a tipped pass interception, right? When you're pushing the ball down the field, you just need to execute on less plays, and they were able to execute on the plays they needed to and win the game. So huge win for the Chiefs. They're not dead just yet, are they? So great stuff from them. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.